So thank you so much for inviting me here. So Shusama, you said, okay, sit down and relax, but I would like to start with a little bit activity. So I'm gonna share my presentation. One moment. Yes, here it is. So I know, let me open Teams in the other. So I know on the left side you still see my slides, but I like to see you as well. So that's why in my Mac it's not possible to do it another way. So that's why I do it like this. I hope you don't mind. So I see you all in my one screen and I see my presentation here, and I really like to encourage you to put on the video so we can really other in the eye and connect, because I think that's what online community is all about. And especially because we are in a digital transformation right now, all of us are, due to Corona, it's very nice to seek out to each other and try to connect as much as possible. So what I would like to do with you is to start grabbing your phone. So usually everybody is saying, don't grab your phone, I'm giving a presentation, but I would like to encourage you to grab your phone and make a picture of this screen. If you don't have your mobile phone with you, just go to www.menti.com and use the code 437377. So on my other screen, I will go there too. And I would like, yes, perfect. Oh my God, you're such an amazing audience. I don't have to ask you to participate. You're just doing that. That's awesome. So what comes in mind when you think of the eTwinning community? I would love to see that. And I think it's very nice to see it from all over Europe, from all of you. What is your feeling? What comes in mind when you think of the eTwinning community? So let me share that screen with you as well. I think this is nice to see. One moment, because then you see the results. Stop share, and then I'll share the other screen. One moment. Okay, I put this in this screen and I'll share it with you. So do you see, I hope you all see the results, and I think they're pretty amazing. So yes, there you are again. So do you see, can someone please let me know in the chat if you see? Yeah, that's awesome. So look at this. So a lot of you, if you think about eTwinning community, think about collaboration, cooperation, sharing, friendship, inspiration, family. I love that one. Support. And I think this is really nice to see for everyone. How we think and how we think about the community and how strong the community actually is. Collaboration is very important. Sharing, learning. This is great to see. I just wait a little bit more because there's still people, as you can see here, giving some inputs, and I think it's nice to get input from as much people as possible. Family comes up a lot too, and friends, friendship. This is really amazing to see all these different angles. I will share this because maybe you like to have this as well. So I will share this after this presentation. But you do recording, I think, as well. So then you can see it too. So the next question is just 2 questions. No worries. The next question. Is, what would you like to learn about online community building? And obviously I prepared already a nice presentation for you, but maybe there are some things, some key things you really would like to know. And for me it's good to know because then I can adjust some examples or deep dive a bit more on certain points. Some good tips to be efficient, activities, tools, creativity, how to interact naturally, how to engage, tools, keep in touch, tips, A lot of tips are coming, so that's great. Everything, awesome. How to, interaction, motivation. Yes, tips related to 21st century children, examples, how to inspire, engagement. Okay. Good planning, online opportunities, motivation. Awesome. Oh, somebody has his microphone not muted. Can everybody check? Because that will be nice. Tools. So I think a lot of actually is tools, which is great. Engaging, how to, more information. Okay, great. So we're gonna focus on tools in engagement, how to interact naturally, and I'm going to share also a step-by-step approach how to get the most out of your community. So I think almost everybody is going to be very happy with this presentation, and afterwards we still have some time to ask questions. So if you still have questions, we have some time at the end of the presentation, and please ask me. So today, we're going to talk about online community building, and obviously eTwinning is not the only company who uses an online community. It's a big trend nowadays, especially now due to Corona. Before we deep dive in that and share some trends, tips and tricks, I would like to explain with you, because sometimes it's not really clear what I think is an online community. And for me, an online community is like a book. Everybody has his favorite, and there's a book for everyone, there's a community for everyone. And a community is actually a group of people who's connecting because they have a common passion, a common pain, or common goals. And for example, passion for teaching, or for world citizenships, for inclusion, for example, a common pain that we are all in this situation, and we all have have to deal with the Corona, have to deal with this fast digital transformation, this online tooling. So this is also something you can have in common, and also a common goal to teach as good as possible, or to help other teachers, other students as good as possible. So if you have something in common as a group, it connects, and that's really nice. If I saw all these answers about family, collaboration, etc., you told me about, and you told each other about eTwinning community, that's because you have something in common. And it doesn't really matter which background you have, or where you're from, or what state in your career you are. If you have this in common, it's really nice to connect with each other. So why are communities so successful? And what can you do with it? Well, if you join forces, and it's like really logical, you make more impact, you gain more visibility for your work, but also for eTwinning, for the way of working, and you can achieve your goals faster, because as a community, you share knowledge, you share ideas, you share stories, and I think this is really nice to know. But also, have changed together to drive this digital transformation, to share tooling. So a lot of you said, I want to know more about tooling. So which tools can you use? Like, for example, Mentimeter, I just use. You can use it to have more interaction. I think it's nice to do that. And if you want to drive digital transformation, you can find it yourself, and you can check a lot, and you can read books, and you can check manuals, you can check YouTube videos. But if you share this knowledge together, it's much easier to actually drive this digital transformation. And to do that well, an online community is needed. And I heard that the eTwinning community has over 850,000 members, so it's really huge. I cannot believe it. So there's so much knowledge in there. And it's also nice to share that knowledge, and to keep on sharing that knowledge as an ambassador. I heard from Tibi that she's really my contact person from eTwinning, that she's so happy with you as ambassadors. And so on behalf of her, I would like to thank you. I know as a digital community expert, it's extremely important to have enthusiastic ambassadors, because they make or break your community, and they make or break your company. So you are extremely important. And I hope to give you some more lessons about community building today. I do my utmost best to give you an overview, some tips and tricks, and to answer any questions. Because an online community is not only nice for, in this case, eTwinning, but it's also nice for you. So it's actually a win-win situation. It's also nice for you because it's good for your personal development. You know new tools, you know new people. You can grow your network, and as Claire already said, it's fun. It makes your work fun, especially when we're all at home. I see. If I look down here on my screen, you're down on my screen, I see all these people with different backgrounds. Some are in their office or pretend to be in the office with this nice virtual background. Otherwise, others are in their sleeping room, in their work room. I see even some laundry with someone, and I think it's nice to get to know each other better. And I think it's great. Like there are a lot of terrible things because of Corona, but there are also nice things, and that's that we get a look in each other's space. We get a look in each other's private life, and sometimes, well, maybe it's gonna happen with me as well. A kid comes, when you're doing a presentation, and it also helps us getting more digital. And I think for our children, I'm a mom as well. It's also good to to learn all these tools too, and to learn how to get lessons through digital, although I hope it's in real life soon. So why are communities so powerful? Communities are so powerful and strengthen us because the whole is bigger than the sum of its parts. And why is that? That's because there are some trends going on at the moment, not only this year, 2020, which we hope will be forever. We hope we leave behind us soon. But it's actually already a longer trend. So this is going on for a longer period, and that's loneliness. So although we're all on our mobile devices all the time, we can also be very lonely, especially when we're all at home at the moment. So this is a trend we see a lot. Another trend we see a lot is that as people, we want to belong. And in the old days, before we had the smartphones, before we had social media, before we had this very fast internet connection, life was actually pretty easy. Because if your parents were going, for example, to the church or a synagogue or a mosque, so if your parents were going there, you were going with them, and you belonged automatically to that community. But now in this 2020, we're all world citizens. Almost everybody has fast internet connections. Almost everybody has a smartphone, social media. So we decide where to belong. But the need to belong, it's still there because it's in our DNA. As people, we want to belong somewhere. Another trend I see that the alternatives are not really there anymore. It's really hard to reach people otherwise due to lockdown. I mean, imagine if so this was a event in The Hague. It was cancelled. I'm very happy to be here, but it wasn't possible if we were not part of a community, if the tools were not there, And of course, you can do advertising. You can email people, for example. You can use other forms of push communication, but that doesn't solve the problem that people are lonely. People want to have true connections, and they want to belong to a bigger picture. And also very important, what I see around me, digital community experts and companies I work for, is that a lot of companies have problems with trust and engagement because of their clients or customers or their target group. It's so overwhelmed at the moment with all the messages coming to them that they don't know who to believe or not to believe. And maybe you have the same we were going to events, for example, or have a coffee with someone, or teach in real life with your class, and now everything is online. So every company is jumping on online, and we get so much messages everywhere that it's even more important, if you want to build a relationship with people, if you want to connect with people, to invest in community building. And trust is very important in that. If people feel safe, if it's a safe space, so they can actually share their story. And there is some new research, it's Dutch research, I have to say, but that research says that we trust each other more, 62%, than politics, 41%, or media, 36%. And that's actually pretty bad news if you're an organization and you want to reach new clients, or your current clients. But it's also a possibility, because it's safe to conclude that communities are twice as likely to convince us nowadays than media does. And I think for eTwinning, this is really great news, because you already have this online community with 850,000 people who are interested. So it's more a matter of activating them, and you as an ambassador has an extremely important role in that. But it's good, because eTwinning is there already for 15 years. The community is in place for a long period. So it's a big advantage if you compare it to other organizations who just started with community building. So a little bit more about me. I worked for large organizations, but also social movements and good causes. And as I said, I wrote a book about online communities. Because of that book, I interviewed 36 community leaders from the Netherlands and abroad, community leaders of social movements, entrepreneurs, but also community leaders of big companies such as McDonald's or Coca-Cola, but also very small companies. And based on all these interviews and based on all this research, I see that especially now online communities, they take the power of offline communities and multiply them with 10 or even 100. Why? Because we're all connected. And you also see it with for example, this year, the Black Lives Matters movement. Due to social media, due to WhatsApp, due to your phone, you can connect with everyone. You can put people together and start a social movement. And that would never have been possible, let's say 10 years or 20 years ago. So because we're all connected, because we all have our mobile phones, it's easier to start an online community. And yeah, as far as I can see, online communities are the best way to build relationship online with ease. It's not that hard. It's just investing in relationship, care about people, share passion. I'm gonna share you more about that later. And you need it as well to stay relevant in this fast changing world. You need it as a company to get feedback from your members, from the community, to optimize your material, to optimize your products, your services. So if you remember just one thing of my keynote, I would like you to remember this specific thing. Online communities are a win-win-win situation. So the first win is obviously for all the members, because they connect with each other, they share a common pain, passion, or ambition, they share knowledge with each other, and as a group, because of the wisdom of the crowd, the whole group grows. That's the first win. The second win is there for the organization. In your case, for eTwinning, because eTwinning is connecting with its members, know what the need is of the members, know what the feedback is of the members, and then can optimize actually the community, optimize their company. So it's really interesting because they have a focus on their members, and they can be really relevant. So that's the second win. The third win is there for you as an ambassador, as a community leader, because if you're a leader of community, if you're an ambassador of the community, you grow your network, you get a certain authority, a certain status, you connect with a lot of people. It's good for your network, and it's also good for your career because you invest in relationships and people see you as the expert. So this is a third win, and a lot of people forget about this win, but it's really important for you as an ambassador, as a community leader as well. Let me see. And maybe it's a bit abstract what I'm telling you, so I would like to give you an example of a company everybody knows, which is KLM. And it's already 14 years ago. I had the privilege to start one of the first business communities, international communities, and that was KLM Club China. As you know, KLM is a carrier, and this is an extremely relevant example of a win-win-win situation. So the first win, maybe it's good to explain a bit about this community. So this is a community for business travelers who are frequently traveling from Europe, to China to do business in a growing market. It's still a growing market, but 14 years ago it was also a new market for a lot of people. I mean, at the time, social media was not really there. Facebook just existed 1 or 2 years. It was not as big as now, so it was really pioneering what we were doing. And this is a great example of a win-win-win situation because the first win was for its members. So they're all business travelers. They have in common, they fly very frequently to China. They want to drive a business there, but they have a lot of them have no clue, like, okay, who is doing business there? So who's actually in the plane every single week having the same goal as me? How is this work in this strange country with the cultural rules, with insurances, with contracts? So there was a lot of benefit for them. There was a big win for them to join forces because in that way they could share information about doing business in a growing market like China. That's the first win. The second win was there for KLM itself because the strategy behind it was you could only be a member if you were a frequent flyer. So you had to fly with KLM once in a while to stay a member. And this is a very smart strategy because those business travelers are very valuable clients to KLM. And obviously there are also other carriers flying to China, but they would choose KLM over the others because they wanted to stay as a member in this community. So this is a very clever strategy for a company. The third win is there for the community leaders. And maybe you know it, maybe you don't know it, but KLM has won a lot of business with their social management. So also if you work on this community, it's also good for your career. For me, for myself, it's very beneficial that I worked on this community because after that, a lot of other companies ask me to build their communities too, to help them building their communities too. So this is a very nice example of a win-win-win situation. And this win-win-win situation is there as well for eTwinning. I'm gonna check if I don't see any questions in the chat yet, but if there's something unclear, let me know or write your questions down because we are with 190 people, and after that I can answer these questions if you have them. So I would love to. So the nice thing about online community building, and what makes it different from all other ways of communication, is that it's a two-way communication. It's almost every other way of communication digitally, because we're also talking about digital transformation. And every other form of communication, it's either one-on-one or it's 1-2 groups, and then there's a lot of telling instead of listening, building relations, really, having a conversation. And this is the important thing, but also the interesting part of online community building. It's not just a nice tool to connect with alumni from your from university when you went there when you were young. No, this is an essential part of the growth plan of every respected organization and also entrepreneurs. So it's not just a fun tool, it's really important part of the growth plan, especially during this COVID-19 times where almost everybody is locked at home. And the great part of it is it's great for loyalty. So because you're really interested in, sorry, not interested, because you're investing in the relationship, and you listen to people and you focus on the online relations, people will stay with you longer. They're going to be more loyal to you because they like you. They like to do business with you, or they like to work with you. They like to connect with you. So again, you as an ambassador, you have a very important role in this whole spectrum. So if we talk about community building, there are, and the road to success, there are 10 steps you take to build a successful community. I have to say, I will tell you also at the beginning, eTwinning is already a big community. I won't give a lot of examples because I really want to focus on the questions you had about engagement, about how to build a community, examples, tips, tricks. So I'll do my best to focus on that and to inspire you as much as possible. So if you start with a community, and I mean, I know that eTwinning is already there, so you might think this is not relevant, but it's still relevant because I know there are also groups, smaller groups within eTwinning, and maybe you're the leader of the group or you start a group, then it's important to know what are the steps if you start a community in general. So the first step what you do is you come up with an idea and you do some research to check if it's already there, because if it's already there, it might be smarter to join forces, or if it's not there, if it's unique, if it's social, if it's relevant for the community, you can start a new group. So do some research before starting something new, because maybe sometimes it's better to join forces. Second step, and this presentation is recorded, and if you like, I'm more than happy to share my slides as well if you want to, because I know I talk pretty fast. So if you want to check it later, it's totally fine. I will share my slides with Tibi. So the second step, step 2 out of 10, is define your target group and your strategy. And what I mean with that is that you are crystal clear on who the group is for. So I know the eTwinning community has a huge pool of members. There are so many people in there, but there are also smaller groups. If you have a smaller group, who is it for? Is it for teachers in Germany, or is it for teachers in all Europe, or is it for teachers for primary schools? Or I know there are already some age differences in groups. So be really specific in that. And I think eTwinning is already doing a great job. And also define your strategy. So what I mean with that is, what's the goal of the group? What do you want to achieve in, let's say, a year? How many members do you want in there? But also more important, how active are these members? And what makes my group unique, social, and relevant? How am I going to meet those targets? What can I do to actually activate my group? So yeah, I would challenge you, it's the end of the year, to define your goals, very smart, so very specific, for 2021. And then it's great, because then at the end of the year you can celebrate your success, and that's what we all want, right? You can celebrate the success together. That's nice. So the third step is actually the type of community and platform. I'm gonna skip this step because eTwinning already has a platform, so I think it's not so relevant. And then, one moment, please. And then step 4 if you start a new group, or if you want to reactivate your group, make sure you start with passion. I'm going to share some examples for you. Don't forget the rules. So a lot of people tend to forget it, and I mean, it doesn't really have to be difficult. It's more that it's good to have some rules, because if people, I know inclusion is, for example, very important. So you can have a rule that we respect each other and we don't bully, etc. And if someone does that, it's very easy to say, hey, this is against our rules, so I remove your post. And later on, we're going to talk about community management, and we want to have fun. That's what, like Claire said, this will be positive. So if you have some rules, even though there are just 3 or 4 rules, it makes it easier to do community management within your group. So don't forget that if you start with passion, and I think this is a great metaphor. If you compare your group, your community, with your digital living room, or maybe even your digital classroom. So you and you key, and you have to renovate. You have to. Oh, thanks. You have to renovate. You have to. You don't have any furniture yet. The heater is not working. There's no food. There are no nice people. It's like super boring, and there's nothing, and it's really cold because it's winter. Are you inviting your friends? I don't think so, right? You invite your friends for your housewarming when it's cozy, when it's warm, like on this picture, when there's furniture, when it's fun. So why, I see this mistake so many times, why are a lot of people, I'm not saying that you do that, but a lot of people invite others to their group, to their community, when it's still an empty space. And I don't get it, because people online, they're the same people you meet offline, but it's just through a webcam. It's just behind the screen, but they're the same people, and they like to be seen, they like to be heard. And if you start a community, make sure you start with passion, and make sure it feels like your cozy classroom or your cozy living room, that people feel welcome. So how can you do that? Because a lot of you ask me, okay, how can I get some tips? Well, what you can do, and it's pretty easy. I see all these nice faces here of you. So you all have already a webcam or a camera within your computer. Just record a nice video. Here you see. Here I recorded a welcome video for my Community Leaders Club. It's just a Facebook group. It's very low key, but it's very nice, a lot of fun. But also on other platforms, it's easy. Just record a video. This is in my in another room in my house. Just record it. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be with all these Instagram filters, because people want to connect with people and they don't want to connect with Barbies. So what really helps if you make a welcome video and you actually welcome people to your group. Hey, how are you? My name is Maartje. I would like to welcome you in my group. It's for XYZ. Tell them for who it is. And you can find here, and then you can tell them the benefits of being a member, and you can tell them what you expect. I would love you to share some nice tips and tricks about teaching too, for example. So people know what you expect from them. They know what they are allowed to do, because sometimes people actually want to be active, but they're afraid that they're not allowed to. So if you tell them, I know it's so easy, but it works. And it's very personal if you do that in a short video of 1 or 2 minutes. You can just record it. Actually, you can record it in Teams. You can start a Teams meeting, click on record, invite nobody, just do a video and then upload it in your group. And people really like that, especially when you invite people. Plus, if you do so, if you have a common passion, you see that the activity grows very fast. This is here are some stats from my Community Leaders Club. Almost everybody is active. Why? Because I encourage them to be active in the welcome video. Step 5 out of 10 is content. So if you have this great living room, you already have some nice things you've shared, you want to share maybe a bit more content before you invite other people. So what can you share in your community, with your community? So what people really like is seeing behind the scenes. For example, a day out of my life as eTwinning ambassador, or maybe it's nice to make. I mean, you have still 3 days, so maybe it's nice to make a short photo collage or some short videos about this amazing summit eTwinning is organizing. People really like to see behind the scenes, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's even better when it's not perfect, because people love authenticity, and they love you for being you and not for being a very polished, nice Barbie doll. So behind the scenes videos, they're amazing. People really like it. Another tip is to do expert interviews. You can interview each other, for example. So what's the difference between two countries, like, for example, Holland and Poland, for example, or Belgium and Poland, but also what are the similarities and what we can learn from each other. And you can just do that with teams. Again, you can record a meeting, you can share it with community. People really like that. And it's a very easy way to engage, because what I see a lot is that others assume that uh, uh, their network know what they're doing. They assume that it's maybe not interesting what they're telling. They assume, etc., etc. But the thing is, everyone, one of you, has a lot of knowledge that other people don't know. And even the most easy conversations can be very interesting, very inspiring for others. And especially in this digital world, everybody behind his own screen, people love to share, they love to hear stories. And don't only share your successes, please, also share your failures, because that's what people like to know too. Because if you share your failures, others learn from that as well, and you help others, and as a group, you grow to the next level. So please do so. And if you have this very nice community, then obviously, even though eTwinning has already 850,000 members, it's still nice to invite others and to activate, to get some fresh people in, to activate the group. And how can you do that? Well, for example, if you meet other teachers and you know that some of them are super enthusiastic, ask them to join, because maybe they're the next ambassador. If you see that people are active, that they're loyal, give them extra attention. And it can be as easy as telling them that you see them. So last week I organized a challenge, a 5-day boost your online community challenge with over 600 community leaders from the Netherlands and Belgium. And some of them, they were so enthusiastic, they were so excited, they were handing in their homework like almost immediately, even before noon, you know, they were super excited. So I can see that, but not telling them, and thinking, hey, wow, she is excited. But it's so much nicer to give this person a compliment and tell them, wow, you're so excited. Thank you so much for adding all this value to the community. I see you. I see you like this. Giving people compliments. I mean, we're all humans and we all like to get some compliments. So if you know that people are enthusiastic, that they're active in your community, please tell them you see them. So step 7 out of 10 is grow from the inside out via digital word of mouth. So I know word of mouth is impossible at the moment, but it's still possible to do this via digital word of mouth. What do I mean with that? There are several things you can do to grow and activate. What really works is to organize a specific contest. So for example, some of the moderators, somebody is, I think, in a waiting room. I'm not sure. Sammy says requesting control. I hope it's still okay. So what can you do to grow from inside out via digital word of mouth? You can organize a nice small contest. Doesn't have to be big. It's nice to have a prize connected to it. Doesn't has to, but it's nice. For example, McDonald's, everybody knows McDonald's. They started with a community on Instagram. And I know one of the questions in the beginning was, okay, how to grow a community with young people. Now, for example, Instagram is possible. It's not always nice for connecting. It's very nice to drive a contest. So, for example, McDonald's, they started with a community for millennials on Instagram, and they started with a contest, which was hashtag gek op de Mac, which means fond of the Mac. And they asked people to share their great picture when they were eating or drinking or visiting McDonald's. And a lot of people actually did that. So they had to share a lot of user-generated content. And I think the prize was something like a McDonald's branded item, like a towel or something like that. So the prize doesn't have to be big, but people like contests. They really like that. So that's a way to activate your community. And that's why, because I showed you the stats of my community here. So let's check this. You see, last week I organized a challenge, a 5-day challenge, a contest. And you see here, it's amazing what this does with your activity. It's amazing what this does with the activating your members. Everybody loves contests still. So maybe that's a great idea. What also works pretty well is a buddy system. So I know there are a lot of buddy systems offline, but this is also applicable online. So for example, more experienced seniors will help juniors to do their work, to work with eTwinning materials, to teach. And this is also a very nice way to get fresh energy into the community, fresh ideas into the community, but also help the younger generations. So buddy systems work really well. Also, and again, I'm gonna compare a community with a party in your living room, so a housewarming party. So personal invitations are extremely important, and I see a lot of companies doing this really wrong. So what I see a lot, and maybe you can relate to this, is that I get a lot of LinkedIn invitations, I get a lot of Facebook friend requests without a message. And I think actually it's almost rude, like as if, for example, my friend is giving a housewarming and she's texting me, okay, 10 o'clock, this is the address. And I'm like, what? Is this for me? And if you get a nice invitation, a personal invitation, hey Martje, I'm giving a housewarming. I would love you to join. I really like your company. Please join me next Saturday at 10 o'clock. This is the address. Hope you are there. Please RSVP. Then I think, oh wow, it's for me. And it's the same online. It's the same people as in real life, but it's just behind the screen. So if you invite people to your community, if you invite people to your group, to the eTwinning community, make sure you give them you send them a personal invitation. Tell them why it's great fun, what's in it for them, and why you like them to join. So really specific, why you like this person to join, what you think this person will get out of it, but also what's the greater cause you can attribute to it. So especially in teaching and make the world a better place, diversity. People like to have a common goal this really connects. So make sure you put that in the invitation, that it's personal. People like that. Then 8, grow outside in via PR and promotions. It's maybe a bit out of your circle of influence, but I still want to share something about this. So if you already have a nice active community, also use bigger ways to grow fast. And one example is press coverage. It still works really well, especially because you have so many members in the eTwinning community, and maybe you're already doing this, and then I just tell them you're doing a great job. But what really helps is doing research every year, also local research in every single country. But the great thing is you can also compare different countries in Europe, and then send out a press release. But make sure it's not just a press release, but it's also bringing people back in the community. So there's also a call to action or something about the community, that it's important to join, that it's nice to join. So an example of this is from an entrepreneur. Her name is Mira. She has a community for single moms. It's called Happy Single Moms. And every single year she's doing a research. And it's just huge research. She's running the company by herself, and she's doing research, and because of that, every year she can send out different press releases. She get a lot of media coverage, and within this and interviews, she brings people back to community, so the community grows. It's a great way of growing the community. Don't forget to mention the community if there's press coverage. The same goes for speaking. You don't have to be a keynote speaker on huge events. You can also be a speaker on a Teams meeting like this. Every single time mention your community. I'm obviously a keynote speaker. I spoke a lot on the physical events, and I always mention my communities, and every single time after a keynote speech, people are joining my communities. So it's a great way to get more attention to the community. What also works really well is share real stories via your own social media with a call to action, with a CTA call to action to the community. So if you are already working on this expert interview, or if you had a specific experience, or you like to share some, I would encourage you to share something about this great event. I already saw a hashtag in the chat, so that's amazing. Share some information, share some stories, real stories via your own social media. Don't forget a call to action to the community, because most of the time you are connected to like-minded people, because you're in the field for maybe a pretty long time, so you know people. And never underestimate the power of your own network. So if you all invite 1 or 2 people from your network to the eTwinning community, it's going to be more active, it's going to grow even faster, and the benefit in the whole community is there, because if there are more people active, more people participating, there's more value in the community, there are more tips and tricks, for example, for tools. A lot of you are looking for tools within the community, so you as a group grow. So it's not only beneficial for the specific members, but also as a group, it's nice. Another thing what you can do is update your social media profiles. And again, this is very easy, I know, but a lot of people just forget about it. So you can add eTwinning, for example, as work experience, like working as an ambassador for eTwinning, or in your headline like this. So this is my LinkedIn, and here you see what I'm doing, and after that I added founder community leaders club. So you can, this is really simple to add in your headline, for example, ambassador eTwinning. And everybody sees that, they get curious, and they ask you more about the community. And it's very nice to share some more information, right? So this is also a great way, if everybody's doing this, is a great way to let the community grow via digital word of mouth. Then we all hope to have this amazing community with only happy people, and we're focusing on connections, true connections. Sometimes there are some people who are not so happy, or things go wrong on the technique or anything like that. What can you do? So my advice to you is, again, treat people like you want to be treated, but also as if you see them in real. And if you invest in relationship online and offline, it's the same people. So if there's one specific person who's pretty negative, just you can call people, or you can send them a DM. You can show them, I told you, just do some simple rules, because it makes the conversation much easier. And ask the question after the question, because most of the times there's something behind it when people are maybe a bit negative, or maybe there's something going on in their home situation, or maybe they had some bad experiences. So focus on the relationship, invest in a relationship. If you give these people attention, they're going to be your friends afterwards. Only, obviously, if they're willing to give feedback and accept feedback. Some people are just negative. If they keep on being negative, you can, I don't know about the eTwinning platform, but there are a lot of platforms you can mute people, or you can ask for an extra moderator check. So if people want to respond, you have to approve it. Or yeah, if it's really bad, sometimes I just block people. But that's, I think that happened to me only once. So most of the time, investing in a relationship really helps to keep on having this fun, nice, supportive community. So we're almost there. Step 10 is learn to optimize. Don't be silent. Give feedback. Ask for feedback. It's a great way to improve. So if you see ways to improve, don't be silent, but share it. But also, if other people open up a conversation and tell you some positive feedback, or some feedback which is maybe a bit negative but is room for improvement, or again, focus on the conversation. So, conclusions. Communities are very powerful and strengthen us, because the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And successful communities have a win-win-win situation. So it's a win situation for the members, because they connect with each other, they share expertise, and they grow as a group. There's a win for eTwinning in this specific case, for the organization, because they're laser focused on the target group. There's feedback, there's room for optimization. So the community and the organization will be better, and will be more relevant. There's an extra win for you as an ambassador, as a community leader, because it opens up doors which would otherwise be closed. It's great for your network, and it makes your work fun. So how? What's the secret? Well, first of all, learn from cases so that you know how to create a win-win situation. Second, listen carefully and communicate in a honest, sincere, transparent, and personal way. Third, take your community seriously. Set up a community strategy to increase success. Know what your goals are, know what you're achieving, and how you're gonna meet that goals. 4, build a long-term relationship with your members by adding value, by investing in the community. And 5, if it's possible, again, I know it's very hard nowadays, if it's possible, again, combine online, because this combination is the strongest from all. And interact with your community, focus on the dialogue. I said it a couple of times, but online community is the best way to create and build online relations on an easy way. Makes it really personal, and it's fun. So this was my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and if there's some questions, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Thank you,
Moment.
Maartje, for your inspiring presentation. There are actually some questions. One is from Eric, our Dutch ambassador. He's asking how to filter all the willing connections, how to say no in a polite way. My mail is filling with partner requests.
And that's a great question. Partner request, as in want to be a member of the community and you don't want them in? Is that actually the question?
Wanting to connect, I think, within the community. I'm not sure if that's what Eric meant, but I think so.
Um, yeah, you can do it. Yes, so you can do it in a polite way, and that's um, what's best is to make sure that the promise from the community is really clear, and also where the for who the community is actually meant. So if this is clear in the description of the community, for example, and people ask to join. So, for example, my community, the Community Leaders Club, is only for ambitious entrepreneurs. So sometimes I get requests for the community. Hey, can I join the community? Um, and people are, for example, interested in building an internal community, which is also very interesting. I know also a lot about that, but that's not what this community is about. So then I tell them, and for me it's maybe easier because I wrote a book. So I tell them, you know, you can buy my book. I can help you with that. But I'm so sorry. This community is only for ambitious entrepreneurs, because if you're clear, because I want to keep this a safe space and super relevant for my audience. And if everybody's welcome, the community is not so relevant anymore. So what I do is I explain them who is this community for, and then they understand it's not for them. Then I try to help them another way. So maybe there's a website with some resources or something like that. Like, you always want to try to help people because it's still your network. And then you just tell them in a polite way, like, I'm sorry, I can help you with this, but you're not allowed to join the community. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Eric. There's also another question from Simone and also Jana. They ask how to motivate your colleagues who are always so busy. And Jana, in addition, says they always say it's not their cup of tea.
A great question. Find out what their need is and what their problem is. So everybody has a problem or a need in their workspace. So this can be, for example, I find it really hard to have a work-life balance nowadays because we're working from home. Or I find it really hard to get all this technical shizzle done because I don't understand it. And most of the time there's a reason behind people saying, I have no time for this, it's not my cup of tea. If you find out what the common problem is, the common pain, or the common passion, what they really like, you can see maybe that's also a subject for your community, or you can bring this in the community, and then you can tell them, well, you know, this community is actually saving your time, or this community is actually helping you solving this problem. So please join us because it makes your life more fun, and it's actually also helping you in your daily job. So always try to connect and find out.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Junania. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. How would you encourage a community whose members are not online very often? I mean, you publish stuff, send emails, but there's a very poor answer, so the community goes sleepy.
Yes, I would like. I would. Um, I think most of the time when this happens, it's because the community leader is not showing up himself or herself, and you're the one who's giving the example, or there are just simply not enough members because not everybody sees that, or there is not a clear strategy in place. Who is it for? What's the added value? Why would you join the community? So I would go back to the table and decide for myself, why is this community here? Who is it supporting? And then reach out to the individual members who were active before and ask them if they would like to join because this and this is the value, and make sure as a community leader you show up. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day, if you show up, they show up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clear answers. We have another question from my colleague, Assi. How to gain trust online?
A good one. So I think again, investing in a relationship, make sure it's a warm living room, a nice place to be there. And what really helps me a lot, but my clients a lot as well, is visualizing a campfire. So if there's a campfire, most of the time there are 5 people around the campfire sharing stories, telling stories, and there are more people around it and they listen. Not everybody has to be active. So if you define who are the people sitting next to you on the campfire, sharing stories, encouraging others, helping you leading the community, you can make it a nice space, you can make it a safe space. And if some people, like these 5 people, share some stories, it encourages others to share stories too. Plus, you can be very clear on if it's an open community for everybody or if it's a closed community. So also in step 3, when you choose the platform, you can also choose if this is a closed group and nobody can actually join without answering some questions or fill then it's more safe, obviously, to share stories than when it's open for everyone. So this is also my advice.
Thank you. There is another question from Bassem. It's a bit similar
Yeah,
to Simone. Her question: if you met
yeah,
a stubborn, close-minded member, how do you
yeah.
involve him?
Not. If people don't want to be involved, leave them. That's what I meant with step 8, focus on the lovers. I didn't explain it well, so I'm going to explain it actually a bit more. Focus on the lovers, not on the haters. So imagine if you give a party, not everybody's dancing on the dance floor. Doesn't matter that the others are not involved, but sometimes they don't like to be, in the center. So it's perfectly normal that only 20 or 30% is active and the rest is not. So try to focus on the nice people, the active people, the enthusiastic people, and either the others follow or they don't. But if there's just one stubborn, close-minded member, leave him in his space. Yeah.
Thank you. Very clear answer. And I totally agree, by the way.
Yeah.
We have one more question. I suggest this is the last question. We're running out of time. How can I encourage others in an attractive way to communicate and work with me, especially if there is no communication between us, only the internet? So,
Um, what I would do in this specific case is do some research about this person. If there's one specific person you would like to connect with, and there's just the internet, do some research and found out some similarities. And for example, if you don't know this person yet, you can send a LinkedIn invite, for example, and you can be very specific and personalized. So you can tell, for example, hey, I've read this great article from you, and I really like the insight XYZ. So people know that you paid attention. I would like to connect with you because I think you inspire me, and I'm in the same field, and I really like to broaden up my network, for example. And then hopefully the other will, agree and accept the friend request. And then after that, and I see that, I think it's a great question because I see that going wrong a lot. the other way around, that you accept something and then after that you get this email, just a whole sales email, which is not nice. So I would step back and check what this person is doing and react on uh, um, messages like, hey, what a nice article again, or hey, wow, great work, and try to, build up a relationship like that. And after that, you can, DM, for example, and ask a person to join the community or maybe to, share something. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Maartje. I think that's it. There are a lot of positive reactions in the chat,
Oh,
so
that's great.
I think we can assume everyone thinks it's very inspiring. You had a clear message, so and it was inspiring. I've learned a lot myself, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is now time for our coffee break. It's a short one because we're starting our networking activity at 5. So grab a cup of tea or coffee, and I hope to see you all back around, yeah, well, in a couple of minutes actually, at 5. Thank you, Maartje, again.
Thank you.